Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. And of course, if any of y'all have to leave early or whatever, then we've got, this will be posted on the Facebook thing. Can y'all see me enough? Because I can't really see myself. Okay, cool. Child, I got so many lights in here. Hey, cute little new, it's your cute hair. I love it. All right, we're gonna give a couple more minutes and then we're gonna get started on seeing, let me see it. Okay. Well, I may have to start without them. Okay. What's up, little Emran? New generation of music people. Hey. So I've got so much good information tonight. I'm really excited to share it. Let's start in about one more minute. Give them about one more minute. I know there's a couple more people that are joining that I know that need to hear this information. What's up, Isabel? What's up, Chase? Good to see you guys. Y'all drank so much coffee. I'm so shaky. And look, I got so many lights on. I have all this tech stuff is so new to me. I got like 5 lamps on this table. Only because I recorded do I care. But yeah, feel free to look oh, Candace, you're so sweet. God, I love you. Y'all feel free to use the chat for questions that you may have, because there's a lot of information tonight. So I'm sure that you're going to have some questions and I don't want to miss anything. Okay, I'm gonna give about maybe one more minute and then we'll get started. Mia, I'm so excited about you and Millie Ann's co-write. This has been really fun putting the writers together to co-write together. It's been really, really neat seeing the results of that. And this particular result is so exciting. I'm so excited for you guys. Okay. All right, let me see. Somebody's logging into the old link. Okay. Okay, they may be a few minutes late. Okay. All right, we're going to give it one more minute. I've got one student that's trying to figure out how to get on here, and I feel the pain of that. So. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started just to save time. And I'm sure people will just keep popping in. Okay, well, welcome to Sunday Night Live, January 17th with Debbie Rogelberg, which I'm really excited about sharing some of her stuff. And we're talking about the new media research information on releasing music for 2021. And I'm really excited to share that for those that are tuning in and watching this later. Feel free to leave questions in the comment section. I'm going to be professional and take out my cinnamon. Okay. All right. Welcome new people. I'm glad to see y'all here. And welcome those that are going to be viewing this later. Again, you can put questions in the comment section. Just a couple of announcements. The Sunday Night Live we'll be doing almost every Sunday night. There'll be some that we're not doing it. We're not doing it February 14th. I think we're going to have a girls only on February 7th, which is going to be the self-esteem circle with my girlfriend that's a psychologist that really specializes in this. And I know from a lot of us in the music business and just being females too, we have a lot of issues, and guys do too, but girls, we just take it to a different level with self-esteem and then trying to be relevant and current, in this awful industry that we love so much. So it's balancing those two things. Also, we're doing the front porch where everybody can perform. That'll start in February. We may do that actually next week or the week after. I would love to have Tracy on, which I have to get with you, Tracy, on that. I would love to hear your opinion and what you're doing out there. Also, we're doing a producer roundtable, which I think that one's going to be amazing because it's going to be interesting to hear what producers say about your original material. What are they saying that, saw the thumbs up, Tracy, awesome. What they're saying about what you can do to have your stuff ready to record and get the best recording of it. A couple of other announcements is for those of you that are auditioning for America's Got Talent, you want to go ahead and get that started. I posted the dates on the Facebook page. Also, we've got the briefs. Let's talk about the Saints for 2 seconds. We've got the Halloween opportunity for the Halloween series, Scared to Death or whatever it is. I forget. Corey told us about that last week. The Halloween music they're looking for is just a combination of content about Halloween, being scared. They particularly are looking for music that is like Monster Mash, kind of whimsical and clever. So if you have something like that, or you can write something like that, I mean, that'd be super fun to write. And it would get you a placement and get you a sync and get you paid. So, I mean, that's something everybody should be doing. There's a few briefs that I've gotten just today. So I will post those on the Facebook group page because they're kind of detailed and but some pretty good opportunities, especially for some of you guys that are doing some indie writing. Okay, so before I get Debbie started, I have to tell y'all a little bit about her, which I'm sure y'all have read from the posts and emails, but Debbie is a phenomenal songwriter. She's worked with some amazing people. And I think that for her she's a DIY musician, and that's one thing that makes this so interesting for a lot of you guys that are doing your own writing, your own producing, your own recording, your own releasing. And Debbie's kind of, I've been able to witness that journey with her. So it's going to be really neat. So what she's going to do is she's going to perform one of her songs that she's released live with us. And then we're going to listen to the recorded version. So you can hear the difference between what it sounds like before you get to the studio and then what it sounds like after getting to the studio. And then we're going to ask her some questions on her process. And we're also going to listen to a song that she wrote as a songwriter, not as an artist, that is a completely different brand for her. And I think that's been really interesting for me because the content she was writing about was like, ooh, this is interesting. But then when you hear it on a male voice and a real produced track, it blew my mind. And it's actually one of my favorite songs right now. Dusty, I could not be more happy to see you, my unofficial assistant that I cannot do life without. And I'm so glad you're here. So anyhow, we're going to ask her some questions. I have some questions that people have submitted to me before this that I'll ask her and some of my own. And then y'all can raise your hand and ask her questions, put it in the chat area. And then after that, we're going to go into some really exciting stuff about what the heck are we doing in 2021 with releasing music, because it is completely different than it was. So I want to introduce to you Debbie Rogelberg. She's from New York, but she's in Florida now. Hey, Debbie.
Hi.
How are you doing, girl?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's the weather like out there? She's a New York Yankee, and she's in Florida,
Yeah.
just like living the life.
I haven't been in Florida that long, but it's a little cold, but
Okay. So I've like told them about like some of your songs that I just love. And I told them about Taxi Driver, which we'll listen to. And then the difference a lot of these girls and guys have is like when you're writing a song at home, you're like, this is good, this sounds boring, blah, blah, blah. And so I think it's a good thing for us to always hear the live version, just you and your instrument, and then the produced version. So if you want to do that for us and then let us hear the produced version. Are you doing Life is Better?
Yeah.
Okay, I love this song.
Yeah, Life is Better is something I wrote in quarantine. I wrote it in my bedroom. So how I perform it now, it's pretty much the same way how it was when I wrote it a few months ago. And then I'll show you guys on Spotify. It has more instruments and it has full production and everything kind of sounds a little bit different. So
we are so excited. Okay, silent clap for Debbie. Yay.
All right.
Know that feeling in your bones, parts of you with no unknowns. It's like our minds are intertwined. What once was yours are now mine. Life is better when you're with me. An adventure, a masterpiece. Promise me that you'll never leave, 'cause life is better when you're with me. You make me sunny when skies are gray. I feel your love in every word you say. And by now I know you're so I can't tell you it's as good as gold. Life is better a chance. Let's make a pact to run away and not look back. We're here together and by design, 'cause I am yours and you are mine. Life is better when you're with me. An adventure, a masterpiece. Promise me that you'll never leave, 'cause life is better when you're with me. Life's just better when you're with me.
Beautiful. I love that. So
That
cool.
I think in mind.
Yeah.
I really wrote a song that would work for a commercial. Generic.
Cody said yes.
Yeah.
Give you claps.
They show the Spotify version now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share.
Yeah.
this.
And Cody said so commercial. And that's some of Debbie's goals for her professional career goals for 2021 is to do syncs. And sync is something that I preach a lot and talk about a lot with you guys. I mean, that's the golden grail. And we'll talk about in some of the research that I got from the media research that sync is, the numbers are incredible and the opportunities are incredible. Tiffany said, beautiful voice, Debbie. Yes, it's so pretty. And we're going to have some questions. I've already got one question here about this song in particular. Let's listen to the studio version, which you did yourself.
I didn't do it fully by myself. I'm not going to take all the credit, but I was always there throughout the whole process with someone that I work with. And I was like suggesting different instruments. I don't know how to play harmonica, but I thought it would sound good. Do you want me to share the?
Yes, I was so excited to hear this produced version of it.
Here. Let's see.
I'm like, I don't know if my settings are right. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay.
Okay. So this is the.
You know that feeling in your bones, parts of you with no unknowns. It's like our minds are intertwined. What once was yours, I now call mine. Life is better when you're.
Yes, the difference, Evie said. Awesome.
An adventure, a masterpiece. Promise me that you'll never leave, 'cause life is better when you're with me. Life is better when you're with me. You make me sunny when skies are gray. I feel your love in every word you say. And by now I know your soul, so I can't tell you it's as good as gold. Life is better when you're with me. An adventure, a masterpiece. Promise me that you'll never leave, 'cause life is better when you're with me. Life is better when you're with me. Let's take a chance, let's make a pact to run away and not look back. We're here together and by design, 'cause I am yours and you are mine. Life is better when you're with me. An adventure, a masterpiece. Promise me that you'll never leave, 'cause life is better when you're with me. Life's just better when you're with me.
So yeah, that was a few more instruments, harmony.
Yes.
So yeah, that was the difference.
And Millyanne said Major Mumford and Sons vibe, and Candace has said this definitely sounds like something you'd hear. There's a lot of commercial feel, which is interesting to me because that was your whole goal writing this. I think that is something interesting for you guys to know, that when you start out writing for a project, sometimes that process is a little different than your organic soul songs that I say that comes, from that place of yourself. You guys, thanks for the feedback on this. I love this. Love the harmonies, the harmonica. Yeah. The harmonica, that was one that was kind of like a last minute thing, wasn't it, Deb?
Yeah, I was listening to the track and I'm like, I really feel like harmonica should be in here. It was kind of like a Bob Dylan vibe, and the guy I was working with happened to play harmonica, so he's like, all right, I'll add it in. So it was just lucky, but I also think that when you're writing commercially, you can still um, think about certain things. Like obviously with this song, I had inspiration, and it still felt like I was singing about someone, and you can
Yeah,
still bring in your emotions, even if you're not going into the details. So
right. The one thing I'm so interested to show them is your taxi driver song.
yeah.
So I was telling them about how it's so different when you, as a songwriter, sometimes, and I know most of my students and artists are artists that are promoting their own thing, but I think it's still good for you to hear sometimes just knowing that another vocalist or you're going to do a track that may be off brand for you. And this particular one, like literally I listened to, like I really just think, you got the story was so organic. And if, you were to have written or you were to have played this and sang the vibe would be completely different, as a singer songwriter versus getting this studio production. So this is called Taxi Driver. Let's let them listen to it.
This song we had Khalid in mind,
Yeah.
and here I sent it to Missy, so it's here. But wait, what? Download. Okay, I guess I'll.
And for time purposes, let's just listen to the first half just to give them a feel of it, because I know I've already got a couple of questions regarding that.
All right. Okay, here.
Cruising through the city full of billboards and lights on a Saturday night. See the world passing by. Life in technicolor feels so black and white when you see all the signs, but you still can't rewind. A million faces and places, but no one leaves traces in my life. Cause they're dark and they're dark and they're dark, but their words are always in my eyes. Need some yellow car, late night therapy, when I got nowhere to be. My mind's not at ease, all these people to please. Sometimes I ride so I can take the backseat and talk to a stranger and jump in the deep. It's hard to let go, but it's so easy to speak to a taxi driver. A taxi driver.
That's half of it. But
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So let's talk about
That
this.
song is good there, man.
I know. Okay. So you can close the screen out, Deb. Okay. For one, I think that is such a perfect example of writing outside the box. And let's talk about that for a second. For one, it's so funny because like my son's a musician. So like, my kids obviously grew up around music. I'm their crazy wild card mom, but so I'll let them hear stuff just because they're going to be honest, and a couple that I let listen to it were just like, oh my God, this is literally something I would put on my playlist, and I think that that's what a lot of feedback we're getting here is that, wow, this is definitely something that sounds like it's radio ready. And it is. And as a songwriter, sometimes you write songs, like I said, off brand, because they're going to have a better opportunity in a different market with an artist that's already established and whatnot. So let's talk about co-writing and writing for projects, just because I've got some co-writes going on with some of my people. As an organic, and I say organic because I'm just like, some songwriters are just here for the fame and fortune's sake. But some of them, the organic process is so different from the actual artist kind of journey. So let's talk about co-writing and writing for projects, writing for sync, writing for yourself. So this applies to everyone here.
Got that big boy.
Somebody needs to mic.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, somebody needs the mic. Is it Chase? Oh my God, Chase. Oh my God, Cody text Chase. Cody, please text Chase. Somebody text Chase and tell him his mic is on. We're hearing all his business. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so how is the co-writing process different than your individual process?
Hello.
Well,
Yeah, honey, we're hearing all your business. Your mic is on. Flick what?
How's it different? I think writing by yourself is a little bit more like intimate. You might be talking about things you wouldn't necessarily say or talk about for other people, stories you don't really want to share. It's like if you're writing for yourself, you might be way more open to like get deep into a certain topic. But I think co-writing is really fun because I think bouncing ideas off
Mhm.
each other, your lyrics become so much better than if you were just by yourself. So I love co-writing if you have a good co-writer.
Yeah. And I think that that's something, because I know that everybody that I work with at some point, I put them on a co-write just because, for one, it increases your odds of success for your song. For two, it just teaches you how to be a good professional in this industry, because you have to learn how to be like courteous. And I think being courteous is so important with co-writing, because you can't just storm up in there with all of your thoughts and it's going to go this way, this way. So I think that that's something important for you guys to think about, is with the co-write, you're coming to the table with your ideas, but you also have to be reverent of what other people's ideas are. What challenge would you say you went through as a co-writer with someone else on a project, whether it was your project?
Do that. Like if you're working with someone that doesn't listen to anybody else's ideas, it's hard to work with them. But if you're working with someone and you're both open to each other and you're both listening to each other as ideas and saying, well, I think this would be really good, maybe let's try this, and it turns into something really great. But if you guys aren't listening to each other and you kind of have your own agenda, then you might not come out with something that great.
And in true SNL fashion, of course, one of our Song Shack members are going to get an opportunity to write with Debbie, co-write with her at some point too. So that's something for those of you that feel really strongly about that, then reach out to me. And also being familiar with y'all's projects, I can kind of see who would work well. Okay, so I was going to ask you a couple other things, and if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. But one question that I had from Emma was, what are your tips on what to do when you get stuck or unmotivated in trying to finish a song? Raise your hand if you've been there. I swear every single songwriter in life. Yes. So what tips would you have to get unstuck?
In the middle of a song?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that happens a lot because usually you write a verse and a good chorus and you're like, okay, the
Right.
second, what the heck am I supposed to talk about here?
Right.
My advice would be to talk to another songwriter and see if they have an idea. That's usually gets me unstuck because they view it with fresh eyes and they're like, well, you flip this to make it sound like this. And that sparks motivation for me to finish the song. So I say talk to.
That's a good point, because I know a lot of the writers sometimes will ask me like and I'm kind of along the journey with them. So sometimes I'll get stuck there with them. Not too often, but sometimes I will. So getting another pair of eyes on it, that is a fantastic advice. A couple of people wanted to know about releasing. You release through Lander. I know that some people release through TuneCore. There was a time when to get on TikTok, you could only release through TuneCore. What was your experience with Lander?
I don't know what the best one is because I've only used Lander, so I can't tell you that it's the best one out there. I just think it's really easy, and I think the other ones you might have a subscription or it might be more in the end, but I didn't know when I was going to release again. I didn't know if I wanted to release more than one song, and one song is $9, I think, or $10. So it made sense for me because I didn't know when the next one was coming, and I could also you can also master your tracks on Lander. So that's what I did for as well.
So let me ask you this, when I'm trying to see, somebody just sent me this, sorry. Okay. Cammie wanted to know what your favorite song that you've ever written and why.
Probably a song called Remember Me, which you know what it is. It was fun because it was for a DJ, and I've never written to a track that was that like that produced, kind of like Taxi Driver, but I was singing this one, so it was just really, really fun, and hopefully it will come out because it's exciting when you're working with a lot of other people.
She's doing one right now that I'm particularly excited about, and I feel like I was one of the ones that was kind of like the 1% when she first started messing with it, and somebody had given her some feedback, like, oh, I don't know about this song. And I was just like, sorcerer, this person must be taken down. They're crazy. This song is amazing, but it's got a real Sia vibe to it. And I cannot wait. Literally, I'm so excited about this one. And I love even the rough draft. Let's ask, I've got another question, and then we're going to ask what, how do you come up with the melody for your songs? Let me address this because this one is a fantastic, especially for some of my organic writers that are writers first and musicians second. How do you get your melody?
Yeah, I'm not a musician, guys. I'm really not. I barely play anything, but melodies, I actually was watching a Ryan Tedder video and he says the same thing, which is you kind of play the track, you play the music, and you just sing along, just like sing wherever the track takes you for all like those 3 minutes, and listen back and see if you hear anything that sounds good, and then you work from there. So I'd say you just say honestly, like, don't think about the words, just kind of hum along and try to find that golden like 10 seconds that you really like and keep on building from those 10 seconds.
Oh, that's a good idea. Sometimes for you guys, don't discredit those little riffs that get stuck in your head, that you're kind of, especially those of you that are vocalists, they're like, no, 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 whatever the little melody is you get in your head. Oftentimes that's the song that just hasn't been born yet. Millie Ann wanted to know, what equipment did you use? What's necessary for recording at home? You use Logic's, right?
Yeah, I use Logic, but you can record without Logic.
I feel like such an idiot every time I do that. Oh my God. Sorry.
But I have a mic. And if anyone's interested, I could tell them what equipment I have. It's not the best, but it's like a small home studio, just enough to get by basically. But I have a mic and an interface that goes from the interface into the computer. So everything is going onto my computer and live time. And yeah.
That's going to be real interesting because one of the Sunday night lives we're doing, which I'm actually very excited about this one, and that's the producers roundtable. So I've got some phenomenal producers that couple that are here local that I work with. One that's in Nashville is one of my favorite producers of all times. And I'm interested to hear what, we were talking about, like getting your song ready to go record, but then also their takes on some of this DIY stuff. I feel like they're going to give us some really good information on the best interfaces, the best programs that translate from home to the studio. See, that's another thing I deal with is these files translating, between studio and at home. Cody wanted to know, how long have you been writing and doing music?
I started playing guitar maybe like 5 years ago, and I was like always throughout high school, I was always like writing when I felt something. But I didn't actually seriously think about it until maybe 2 years ago when I started working with like a mentor that I just kept working on it, and I just started to love it even more. And yeah.
I have a fun question here. One of the songwriters, vocalists that you work with, Max Embers, and I mentioned that in conversation to one of my students, and they were like, I'm so obsessed with him. Please tell me how awesome it was working with him. I guess you saw him on Songland.
Yeah, he was on Songland. I work with him maybe like once or twice a week because we co-write. We actually co-wrote, I'm trying to think. Oh, like we wrote Love Letter together, and he helps me produce. Like he's my undercover producer.
She's so obsessed with him. She's like, his voice sings to me. This is so funny. He's got a fan here in Memphis, so that's something good to know. And I think that's important too for you guys too, because I know a lot of my writers are writers, like they're writers first, which we talk about, and musicians second. I've got some that are musicians first and writers second, but generally my Tormented tribe were writers first. And I think that that's something that they struggle with, is trying to find the melody. And I feel like that working with people that hear the melodies pretty well, that's one thing that will help you, is to start hearing your own melodies. Did you find that was the case for you, Debbie?
Well, I think anytime you're working with someone better than you, you start to like pick up on small things they do. But I think melody was always like my favorite little thing. Like I can't play guitar well, I can't play piano well, but I just like kind of hearing the little melodies. So I think it's also the most important part because again, like most people won't remember your words, but if they have your song stuck in your head, they're humming your melody. So it has to be. Yeah.
That's super important. Yeah. That melody is what brings them in, You know, the lyrics is what keeps them engaged, but the melody is where it all starts. So that's something to always be aware of, is keeping melodies in your head. When you hear something, use your voice notes. When you hear that little melody in your head, you know, go ahead and record it. And then again, reaching out for opportunities for people that are strong musicians. I know tons of musicians that wish they could write songs, but they have great original melodies. I wish Michael was one of them, and I was hoping he was going to be here tonight. He's comes up with these brilliant melodies, but he's not doesn't do lyrics a whole lot. So it's just like, there's a couple, Elliot, Dominic, some of these ones that just, so for some of you guys, that's going to be a good co-write for you guys. And lastly, Debbie, what is some advice you would give for new songwriters? And some of these are baby brand new, like just their first song right now.
I think number one, surround yourself with people that are better than you. I said this before, but I think the most growth that I've had is by surrounding myself with people that are better than me and absorbing everything that I can get from them. And two, I think, you know, a lot of people say just write 100 songs. But I also think that with those 100 songs, you need to be getting constructive criticism, and you have to constantly be improving on what people think is wrong with it, see what they say, and honestly take their feedback and just learn from it. Don't like be upset about it, because if you just keep writing and you don't listen to that feedback from people who do know more than you, you're just going to keep kind of going in circles. But I'd say, yes, write those 100 songs, but constantly say, what is wrong with it? What am I trying to say? What can make this better? And get fresh eyes from people who know music better than you do.
I mean, I cannot reiterate that enough. I mean, like I always say, you know, I'm not Tran Jackie. That's like my favorite thing, because you don't want, like, your family and friends are going to think everything you do is phenomenal. Even non-musicians, Tiffany said great advice. That is great advice. Even non-musicians, you know, like your best friends and stuff, that just, they don't write songs. So they just think the fact that you've written something original, they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever heard, which I know we've all had that kind of response. But and that's why I love this little community, because especially when we do like the front porch, you know, where we give the constructive criticism and stuff, it's a time where you can actually listen to something, appreciate it, and still have a constructive criticism, because we open the floor for that. So want that, you know, want to hear what the negative things are. You know, I know when we do artist introductions, my first thing is, I know they're great, I know they're phenomenal, or I wouldn't be working with them, they're fantastic. What sucks? You know, like what is not adding up, what is not clicking? Those are the things that I know I want to know moving forward. Otherwise, then it's just a bragging session, and that does nobody any good. Let's see, does anybody else have any other questions before we move on to part two? Any other questions?
I think also when you write something, you're stuck in the box of like, this is so good, and I just spent all these hours on it, and it's the best thing that ever happened. But someone listening to it with fresh ears will be able to hear what you need to work on better than you.
Or something is the worst thing ever. I run across that more so than anything, is people are like, this really sucks. And of course I'm governed in, sometimes I can listen with fresh ears, and sometimes I'm just like, know the struggle, or I know the story, so I'm just like, oh, it's so amazing. But then somebody else will listen to it and be like, that's crap, you know. And sometimes you want to kind of weigh out, you know, if you've got 5 craps and 10 wonderfuls, then you can kind of, you know, do the math on that. Debbie, it was so great to have you being able to perform for us. I love your writing. I love your new songs. I love your old songs. I'm really excited about your new big vocal song. Wish you all the best with, you got DJs spinning your songs right now. Debbie's really got some interesting opportunities right now that, you guys will have soon enough too. So everybody silent clap for Debbie. Debbie, thank you. Stick around so you can hear what's going on in this crazy world. Okay, so oh my gosh, so here's what I have been waiting. And this is so much information. Such an amazing artist. Millian said, yes, she is. Y'all are such a great little community and support each other so much. I love that about you guys. Agreed, Cody said. Oh my God, you two are my faves. Just kidding. I love all of you the same. This next, we're going to open up talking about music 2021. And honestly, this is a subject that, Debbie said, thank you, everybody. This is a subject that we're going to hit on some really important things. And then I've decided we're going to have to do like a master class on this. Even today, when I was wrapping up my notes and talking to some people that we kind of go over statistics a lot, I'm just like, what? This is like still blowing my mind, some of this. So I'm going to hit on the big points. And then we're going to have to do a masterclass. This is just some amazing stuff. Okay. Music 2021. I wanted my article, because you always write articles based on, what I'm working on. I have to do this at least one article a month for this music magazine. Anyhow, I was Pandemic at the Disco was my title. Yes, that's so clever. But that's kind of what it is. It's like making original music in light of 2021. We're in a pandemic. What does this look like? So grab a piece of paper, get your voice notes, your computer, whatever, because I'm going to give you a whole lot of information. And then we will dissect this at a later time in a master class for those of you that are on this end of a release, so we can kind of move it to an individualized strategy for you guys. Okay, I'm going to just say some of the most interesting, like I knew getting the media research back, it was going to be a lot about streaming, just because that was, everybody was talking about streaming because everybody was stuck at home in the middle of a global crisis. Before I say this, just because this is recorded and I know that this is going to be shared on different things, I wanted to say that the new information is based on media research. Disclaimer and credits to Angela Mastrojamo, owner of Muddy, Paul, PR, Anastasia Brown with Sony Music, Jay Gilbert, Music Biz Weekly Podcast, curator of Morning Coffee Newsletter, Mark Mulligan with Media Research. Credit to those. And some of this can also be found on the internet. I suggest keep up with Forbes, Music Biz, Variety. Sometimes you'll get those kind of tech magazines have a lot of music information, believe it or not. So I just want to say that thanks to everybody that's given me this information. It's been so nice being able to talk to people. So the first thing that I thought was super interesting, and that is the Billboard charts, which everybody knows what the Billboard charts is. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I got a Billboard chart. It's like rank, it's like trending on Billboard. The one thing I thought was so interesting is that the billboards are shrinking, the relevance of billboards. So a lot of predictions are saying that Billboard may not exist in the near future, which really blows my mind. This was coming from a lot of, and all the people that I talked to, because I mean, like for these kind of things, it's like, I appreciate everybody's opinion, but I want to know, like, from the heart of the beast, what these numbers are, what these statistics are, to be able to share it with you guys. And that's, I mean, a running theme from their opinion. So this isn't a statistic. It's just an opinion from a lot of people that I respect. So that's one thing I thought was interesting. However, they were talking about the streaming billboards having its own system, which I believe there's one now, which is like a variation of Billboard for, Spotify and Apple Music and so on and so forth, but not to the magnitude that Billboard is for radio singles. So that's something that's in the works. And I think that's something that's going to be very relevant soon, almost to how Billboard has been to us. Another thing that was really interesting is measuring the success of an artist post-pandemic with, limited billboards, with, that type of new trajectory. It's like, how do you measure that? So that has been really interesting to me. And we're going to kind of attack that question here shortly. I wanted to go over a few things that is different and a few things that will be relevant for releasing. Some of this you guys already know, but this is like a new spin on it for 2021. Obviously, the same things for releasing is still copyrights, PROs are the same. All of the stuff that we talk about, that's still very relevant, but here's where it gets different. And a couple of these things, I have to say, I truly want to give myself a pat on the back, because I preached this before this even was a thing, and that is branding and strategy. Anybody who works with me knows that I'm always like, get on brand, do this, what's your strategy, 5-year plan, do your blueprint. I feel like that is something that I've always believed, but haven't had the research and a lot of things to really back up my instinct and philosophies on that. And now we do. So I'm really excited. This is actually one of the #1 things for 2021 that's going to make a difference for getting your music heard. So, because you have to keep in mind that in this market where we are in 2021 is streaming. So, and it's also people at home writing, no, huge numbers soaring of people stuck at home writing songs, people stuck at home learning how to produce their own songs.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, so somebody's mic is back on, Chase. I'm pretty sure it's you. Cody, for God's sake, Chase. I'm so afraid he's going to say something inappropriate. Jesus. But anyhow, Cody, for God's sake, would you text Chase? Anyhow, sorry
No.
about that. Oh my God. Anyhow, so back
I'm
to
on
the-
it.
Still had the
Sorry.
screen.
Thank you. Okay, so anyhow, sorry about that, you guys. So anyhow, the branding and strategy that I've been preaching, and now here we are. They're saying that that is what's going to make the difference when you're in a sea of new music. So you've got all these people at home writing, all these people at home producing, all these people at home releasing. So you've got a lot of competition now, whereas before you had competition, but just on a different level. So the branding and strategy, and I'm going to touch on that really quickly. Your brand needs to be clear. And this is some of the stuff, like I said, I'm going to touch these points and then we will talk about it further, you know, in a master class.
I was
There's
busy doing something.
so much. Branding, your clear brand has got to be very clear. That's with your artwork, with any kind of photos you release before you get out there. And this applies for songwriters and for artists. So your branding has to be very clear. Your strategy has to be very clear. Oh, okay. Thanks, Tiff. I didn't know I could mute people. Thank you for that. Okay, hang on. Oh my gosh, that's such a neat thing. I'm still learning all this stuff. Well, I mean, he's a tech guy, so somehow he's able to unmute himself. I guess, I don't know.
He's saying it's his cat's fault. So.
Oh, okay, it's the cat. Okay. So anyhow, back to this. So we've got the strategy, the branding. So here's the number one thing is going to be that the difference that this has made looking into 2021, and that's engagement. So now you don't have the press and promotion like you had in 2019 to kind of help get the momentum on your single album release. So the engagement is more of the grassroots approach to releasing music that a lot of DIY musicians, independent artists are kind of used to. But the engagement, even on a larger label, you know, are still having to do the engagement because you want to keep your fans active. So engagement, social media engagement. So basically what they're saying is before you could be elusive and that was kind of intriguing to your audience, but now they don't want an elusive artist. They don't want the diva. They don't want the Oz behind the glass. They want to know who, not just who you are, but what you feel. So that type of engagement is trending. It's not going anywhere. The psychology behind that is, I'm sure everyone can guess. Why do you think people want to be engaging right now? They want to be engaging because they feel alone. They feel isolated. So that information, which is really interesting to me, again, because as a grassroots approach, we've known this all along as independent artists. So we've always had to do that. But now we've got major record labels encouraging their A-list artists to do the same because your fans are at home. They're alone. They feel isolated. The world is unknown. They want to engage with you. So that's one thing that is definitely different. Also, along with branding and strategy is going to be photos. Some of you guys have photos that are so outdated. So you need to make sure that your photos are on trend, you know, and up to date. I'm one that's guilty of that. I've used the same photos all the time. People haven't used black and white since 1973. My friends tell me whatever. So I'm also not trying to be an artist. But for you guys, it's just to stay up to date with make sure that your photos, you know, are up to date, your artwork. So this is another interesting thing, according to, this is the Mark Mulligan from Media, which you know, everybody's got opinions, you know, from the different article writers. But like when you're dealing with media research, this is stuff where you've got the numbers. And that is something I've been preaching about, and that's cover art. You have to have the cover art with your single because that is selling your story before you even get your single out there. They're going to look at your picture, and right now you have to get people to click. You know, before you could be in their face at a festival and they're going to listen to you just because half the time people are drunk and just having a good time. They're going to listen to you anyhow. But now we're having to get, Karen's like, yes, we miss a festival days, geez. But I think that now we have to get people to click. They've got a large amount of music now. So they've got so many more options, so many more avenues to get it. So you have to get them to click. So just to kind of recap what we're talking about so far has been your branding. I've preached that, but now we've got the research to show us that is everything releasing music next year or this year and beyond, because they're saying now that our world has changed with music, we're there now. People are streaming from their house. They've changed their lifestyle. So even when the world opens back up again, they're still wanting to be at their house, so it's still a new avenue for them now. So we've got the branding, the clear strategies, we've got the engagement. Let me touch on this really quick too, a little bit more. Like I said, we're just hitting these points, and we're going to go back and we'll do a master class to kind of really hone some of this in. But think about your fans as your family. Think about Beyonce's got the Beehive. You've got the Swifties. So what these artists are doing is they're creating a communal approach to their fans. They're making their fans feel like family, which I've written an article on this. I wish I had it to share to you guys, but God, I can't remember it. But anyhow, it's basically talking about the engagement. Your fans want to be that close to you. So not only do you want to promote your music, but if you're not giving little pieces of yourself when you release something, people are going to feel like you're not authentic. And that is way off trend. Again, the days of the diva gone. People want to know not only who you are, what you're writing about, they want to know the personal stuff. They want to feel like they're that close to you. Again, the cover art, your photos. Now let's talk about visuals, because cover art was such a big deal in this meeting. Everybody was like, the cover art is so important because it's got to sell the story. People want to know what they're about to click. The cover art is everything, which I've talked a lot about this, but not enough. Apparently, I didn't realize the biggest deal it was. I know for some of my people, I tell them to make sure your cover art is good enough to be merchandise. That's been my extent of that. Now we know that the cover art is getting, good cover art is getting up to 3 times more clicks. That's a huge number for people to click. So the cover art has to sell the story. We'll get into that deeper. Like I said, I'm just having to hit all this so much information. It's fascinating too. Also, visuals in general. So let's talk about visuals in general. Now we're dealing with a world of people at home. People have gotten used to being able to click and get everything they want because now we've got access to more information. It's kind of like when the world first learned about the internet. All of a sudden, we're like clicking and Googling, and all of a sudden the information was overwhelming for those of you that have been old enough to remember how the internet's progressed. So it's the same way now. That's what we're looking at now with the new streaming and the new ability to be able to click and see a concert, click and hear music. So that's the access of ease that we're dealing with. So visuals are everything. Your cover art, YouTube. I'm all the time telling you guys to do a lyric video. If you can't afford a big production, which as a matter of fact, production videos are down by 24%. This is crazy too. I guess it's because the studio shut down for a while. So maybe that's not as important for new artists. And again, I'm talking about new artists, not established ones. So your YouTube lyric videos, even having your art as a YouTube thumbnail. Again, that's a visual. The visuals are more important than ever. Okay, so let's talk about the streaming and platforms. So we've kind of gone over branding strategy, engagement, photos, and your cover art, and then visuals. So streaming and platforms. I've known about this some because, I have to keep up with this stuff just for you guys when you're releasing stuff. We've obviously known YouTube. We started seeing, we've known Facebook. We started seeing some of the trends on Instagram, which kind of caught me a little bit by surprise because I didn't know the actual visual media on Instagram was doing so well. And of course, and literally the funniest thing is everybody I talked to was like, my God, everybody should know about TikTok. So let's talk about TikTok. TikTok is something that I'm not on. So I have to get all of my information from other people, which I swear to God, I'm going to get it. But I do look at the numbers. And so TikTok has just completely blown up. A lot of new music is being found on TikTok. To get on TikTok, there is a process of that. You can't just put music on TikTok. You have to do an official release. Used to, you could only get on TikTok through TuneCore, but we found out Landers is doing TikTok. Isn't that right, Debbie? You can get on TikTok with your Landers release too. So we've got the TikTok, YouTube, Facebook Music, Facebook, a lot of the, not so much Facebook Music as the visual. So we're talking about the visual music. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'm not having a stroke, swear. So anyhow, those platforms have completely increased. And the cause of the increase of platforms, again, is because people are online at home. You know, before people were out and about, you had your music festivals, which took up spring and summer. A lot of people found their new music at festivals. Who's ever listened to a band at a festival by accident, just because they opened up for one of your favorite bands? And then you're like, whoa, wait, what? Who are these people? You know, so a lot of music is found that way. And now people aren't at festivals, so they're finding everything at home. Again, the one click. People have gotten so used to doing this that, again, it's predicted that even when the world opens back up, people have integrated this into their daily lifestyle. So this is always going to be the case, or at least, you know, for the near future, of people being able to click for their entertainment. So that's how they're finding music. Interesting, subscriptions spiked over 35% in Q1 last year. So that you're talking about your subscriptions to Spotify, YouTube, Netflix, the 35% in Q1. So that just is 1 quarter of last year. That's when we first were getting into this pandemic. You know, that has only grown so much. I think it was, oh God, $7.47 billion after pandemic. That's the growth. That's not the total. That's the growth of that whole platform of streaming media. So it's important that you guys know, and don't lean on your mentors and song coaches and stuff. You guys are in the trenches as young people. So you want to see what's out there. And I'm going to go over the top 16, which some of these I don't even know. And I'm hoping to God some of y'all do, because this was another thing I'm like going, am I so old that I don't even know what some of these things are? And I'm hoping that's not the case. Okay. So the platforms that are trending now, and that are not going anywhere, I'm going to start with number 1 is Spotify. Obviously, Spotify blew up last year. If anybody's got stocks in streaming services, you've seen some evidence of that. I say that like I've got it. Oh, my stocks blew up, but I've just heard it so much. Number 2, Pandora. Number 3, SoundCloud, which I thought SoundCloud was like kind of outdated, but apparently it's back up there, above Apple Music, in fact. So Apple Music's number 4. 5 is Mixcloud. Who knows a Mixcloud? Me either. I'm like, oh God. 6 Tidal, 7 Amazon Music, 8 Deezer, 9 8-Tracks, which I've heard about that, but I had no idea it was ever going to make some kind of chart. Hype Edit, that's one that's kind of new. We've got Twitch. Who's heard of Twitch? I've heard of it and I don't know what it is. Okay. 12 Bandcamp, 13 YouTube Music, 14 Vivo, 15 iHeartRadio, and 16 Gigmit. Who's heard of Gigmit? I've never heard of that either. But these are the ones that are trending the most right now for finding new music. One thing that's really interesting too, and I know I'm just kind of putting all this information on there because I'm going to leave enough time for you guys to ask questions. I got so much information and I'm literally just touching on it. So that's why I'm saying we're going to have a master class to just focus on specifics. But that's virtual concerts. These virtual concerts have just completely taken the market by storm, where people are getting paid to do the virtual concerts. And there's a specific strategy for that as well. Yeah, the comment should come up, by the way. The comment should be in the video, you guys. And I've got so many questions. I'm going to try to answer some of those too. So the virtual concerts is something that you need to start strategizing for that. Then another trend is monetizing with sync and merchandise. Let me hit on this really quick because this is something that's so different. Back in the day, merchandise would be the t-shirt, you know, hoodie, beanie, whatever, with your logo. And people just love you so much that they get it. You have a certain budget, you have set it up at your concerts. So now you've got merchandise that's online, which this is good for DIY artists because you don't have to keep this in stock. there's a lot of different online platforms where you can design your merchandise and people just click. You know, it never has, you don't have to order in bulk. They click it right there and you design it. Now, the good thing and the bad thing with that is that company keeps a percentage of what you sell, obviously, because they're basically your salesperson, but still it's a phenomenal way to get unique merchandise to your fans. That is not just so specific, you know, like used to, we know we're doing t-shirts, so we're going to get 500 because we get the best price, and we get stuck with 400 t-shirts and we don't know 200 people in our life, you know? So, I mean, it's really good and cost efficient for you as a do-it-yourself artist. Sync, which, my God, if y'all haven't heard that enough, I know, but Sync is where you're going to make your most money because you get your licensing fee, then you get your royalties. Sync is hot right now. We've got a lot of good information and briefs and areas that we know we can pitch to. And we're going to do Sunday Night Live just for Sync, because especially with the new briefs that have come along. Actually, we may do that next. Raise your hand or give me a high five or something if that's something that you want to spend going over briefs and stuff for Sync. Okay. So that's something, yeah, y'all need to know about that, because that's a whole other end of the gamut where you can write a song specifically for a project or a brief, get paid for it, and still continue on with your branding as an artist. And we'll talk about that maybe next Sunday. Here's another really quickly, lastly, one piece of information that really caught me off guard here, and that is trending for 2021 is singles over albums. So I was just kind of like, what does that matter? You know, like everybody I know, if you've written a single, then generally you've got an album or at least an EP. Of course, you know, the math behind it is for DIY musicians. It's cheaper, it's less risky, it's safer, whatever. But the reason why, according to the 2021 trends, is because of algorithms. So this is, stick with me on this. The average listener will click on a single twice as fast, 60% faster than they will an album. And I think that is because their attention span has gotten so much shorter since they've got access at their fingertips to so many music. And also they're only sitting in there for 15 seconds. So if you're not, if you've got that long intro, your listener's probably going to go. And that's especially important for you guys that are writing rock, blues. Most pop songs kind of get into it a little quicker. Indie songwriters, sometimes y'all drag out your intros a little bit too much. So that's another thing. Your average listener is given 15 seconds. Interestingly enough, your sync agent or your music supervisor is given it 7 seconds. So that's pretty, that you better sell them, honey, like in 5 seconds or so anyhow, the days of the big long intro, they're gone forever, at least for the next 5 years. So that's interesting. So your singles are going to do better than your albums. The best thing to do is single release, very quickly thereafter, the next single release, and then a third single release, and then you release the album. So that's the 2021 predictions on releasing for that. So after the third single is when you would release your album, and then you would have an acoustic version of your best song. And by best, I don't mean your grandma's favorite. I mean like whatever has done best on your downloads, your streams. You need to make sure that you're looking at all of these platforms that are giving you statistics. You know, you want to see what your demographic is. And then according to that math, that's when you would release an acoustic version of that song. Covers are hot. We've known that. They want to know everything about you. Your genuine fans are going to want to hear you in many different capacities. They want to see your cool pictures, your press pictures. But if you're just promoting your music, you're going to lose your fans in 2021. They want to engage. They want to know what you're eating for breakfast. They want you to do a live that is just talking about your day. They want to see your vulnerabilities, and that's how you're going to get fans and keep them. So the takeaway from this is we've lost tours. We've lost live performances. They may not come back this year, to be honest with you. I know Bonnaroo, Coachella, a lot of people have moved to the fall or either just canceled for 2021 altogether. So we know we at least have this year with no real live music, except for just some very small independent venues. That's not going to be where you pick up a bulk audience. So we've lost that, but we've gained direct exposure to our audience. So that's the good thing. if we use all of these statistics wisely, we know we've got them for a limited amount of time. We don't want to flood them with all of our songs. We give a few at a time and then release our album. We engage with them. We let them become part of our family. That's how you're going to keep these fans, and they're loyal. 2021 fans are so loyal. They're buying your merchandise. They're paying for you to show up at their birthday party. They're hustling for you. If they like your music, they're on the phone with their grandmother that maybe has a television show. That's the level of loyalty you're getting from 2021 fans. So it's not in vain. What questions do we have here? I know I ran over. I'm just so much information. Does anybody have anything? I know this has been a lot. Y'all are probably still processing. And for those of you that are, we'll go over some of the stuff in your individual lessons. Like I said, with so much information. We'll do a master class on this. Sync, you know, like the projects for Sync. Sync's up just on the charts. Sync is up. I was at 40-something%. But here's the thing with Sync is not everything gets reported because it's usually hand to mouth. So that's very interesting to know. We've been talking about Sync. Let's see. To all the notes on this, if y'all want me to post them on the Facebook. Thanks, Millyanne. Okay, so Millyanne's taking notes. I mean, that's a good idea. I can share some of these notes too. Okay, you guys, so process all that. I was so happy to be able to share this information. I know it's a lot. Just kind of let it sink in. We'll revisit it again. And you can watch this video again. It'll be on YouTube. I mean, on it's somewhere on YouTube. I need to figure that out, but it'll be on the Facebook page. And we'll go back over it. Next week, we'll probably do Sync. We'll just probably spend a whole hour going over briefs and specifics for Sync. If anybody has a question, ask it now. Thank y'all for showing up. And it's so good to see everybody. Karen said she'd love to see the workshop about recording YouTube videos. Yes, that's another one. Okay, so we talked about the roundtable with the producers, the Sync. I also want to do one with that's specific to these YouTube, TikTok, get with some of our social media people that can give us tech people that know specifics about this stuff. Because a lot of y'all are doing it at home, some of y'all better than others. So I'm curious to see what that is. Algorithms are everything. So the takeaway here, just post, be real, be authentic. And thanks you guys for stopping in, and I will see you next week. Keep up on the Facebook page. I'll post stuff there as it comes along. We do have some briefs I'll put up this week. Y'all have a good week.
You look fabulous, Missy.
Arthur!
You look
Miss
beautiful.
Artie. Oh my God, that's my best friend. I love him so much.
That's hilarious, Arthur.
I love Artie. That's not even his name. People thinking that my daughter named her son after him. His name's Archer, but we tell everybody his name's Arthur, and they get so mad.
It is.
It is.
I heard it was Arthur
Oh
too.
my God, Arthur, you and Tracy are going to have to do one of these with us. We've got some old head-ins here that know everything. Tiffany said, great Sunday Night Live. Thank you, sister. So yeah, we'll have to get on that with you guys. Okay, enjoy your week.
Yeah.
Bye, you guys.
Good lesson.
Bye.